Hey, it's James with Net News Ledger. We're sitting here with Mark Bentz, Councillor at Large, and Budget Chair, and we're talking Thunder Bay budget. Mark, late nights ahead.
Potentially late nights. We've got to go through the entire budget, and there'll be lots of questions. And I'm hoping for some resolutions to come forward to change the budgets in certain ways that I think it needs to be changed.
What are those ways? What would you like to see? You've heard people last night gave you sort of their overall impressions?
Yes. Well, one of the striking things of last night is we had a deputant of the type we've never had before, she was an elderly lady who came to tell us her story about how she lives and how she does without, and how she is struggling from time to time, not with just financials, but with the whole social issues that she faces as an elderly person. That was very enlightening for most of us. We've never had someone like that come and talk to us. So what am I wanting to see? I'm wanting to see us help protect those people on fixed incomes. We can't consistently bring in budgets that are over inflation, in my opinion. We have to be cognizant that people are on fixed budgets. And we have a high retirement proportion in our city, and not all those pensions are indexed to the way that they'd like to be. They're the people that are receiving them. So what would I like to see? I'd like to see more capital and less hiring.
When you look at the Sunshine List, the growth of the over $100,000 salaries in Thunder Bay has been massive over the years.
Yes, it has. I mean, $100,000 isn't what it was when the Sunshine List came to be. But that aside, yeah, we have to watch the types of salaries that we're paying to people. There's more and more of the people on the Sunshine List. Personally, I think the Sunshine List needs to be inflated year over year to remain relevant, right? Because I don't know how long it's been around, but I mean, inflation is real.
Yes.
And that 100,000 isn't what it used to be. But that being said, yes, we have to watch our salaries. We have to watch our head count. And that's part of our role as council.
The starting point for the budget in Toronto was just announced today at 1.43%. What's the starting point for Thunder Bay?
We are at 3.17, which is a starting point. That's the proposed budget of our administrative staff.
So there's probably, if you're saying you want to stick closer to inflation, that's sort of where Toronto is.
Yes. Inflation for Thunder Bay is hovering around 2% probably over the last year. And 3% is, if you work out the math, it's 50% more than inflation.
What kind of areas can be trimmed?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of services that we provide, and some of the service levels we have may need to be examined. Some of our staffing maybe needs to be examined. Certainly the expansions to the budget in staffing, some of them we want to increase our legal department by 2 people. We want to hire more mechanics. We want to, I mean, there may be, it's not that administration wants to increase headcount. They think by increasing headcount they'll find more savings and efficiencies. I don't see it that way. I see that a strong and healthy partnership with the public sector or private sector, when you're purchasing services, when you're purchasing goods and services, is needed. We don't want to bring everything in-house. Even if there is some sort of notion that we can save $30,000 a year by doing it that way. What you do is you increase your head count, you increase your benefits, you increase your liabilities in certain ways.
Now, you're also, at the same time, in some cases, maybe even competing with those private businesses that you're taxing in order to keep the city going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the city council long ago stated that they don't want to compete with the private sector. To argue that doing our own maintenance on equipment is competition, that's a tough question. But for me, in this time when we're under a services review, we shouldn't be expanding staff. We still have to wait for phase 2 of the services review. I know these staff aren't directly related to the areas in which we're looking, but council has sent a lot of messages that we're very interested in I mean, for me, I'm very interested in controlling costs.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, is not expanding your staff. Looking at ways to do things. And every time you want to take something new on in the city, maybe you should be looking at things that you can leave behind and not do anymore.
That's one of the ones that in the core services review, it seemed to say that Thunder Bay is really good at acquiring new shiny things, but we're really bad at keeping up what we've got. And I think the classic example of that can be found at Boulevard Lake with the Forestry Capital of Canada Park. That sometimes the trees are gone, which there's a sign in front that says what the tree is, but it's been chopped down. Or inversely, the sign is so bleached out you couldn't tell what the tree is. But it's a beautiful area,
Yeah.
and it celebrates something that we still are as a forestry capital.
Well, yeah, we love to create new things and cut ribbons and do all sorts of fun things like that. But then we somehow forget about them. And that goes to our infrastructure deficit that we have in the city. It's estimated to be at this point at $22 million, which means that every budget that we have passed up to this point has been $22 million short on capital. The budget that we're looking at right now is $22 million short in capital if we are to save for future needs and maintain what we own. So people ask, why did Dease Pool close? We didn't plan for it. Why is the conservatory in such rough shape and may face closure as well? We're not planning for it.
We're not keeping it up, is what you mean.
Not keeping it up. Not putting monies in reserves for when it's needed. Not even doing the required maintenance on many of our assets. So when we keep adding assets and more assets and more assets, yes, it's great for the community, but is it really in the long run? In the long run, it's going to cost you more to maintain the assets that you're neglecting, and you may lose them as well.
One of the ones that is a concern, especially with the snow over the last couple of days, people are talking about snow clearing, and that budget seems to keep climbing, or we go over it every year. The city has a plan on climate change to go carbon neutral by 2050, but what we're seeing is more snow, it seems, or bigger snowfalls are more frequent. And with an aging population, that's making it hard on a lot of our seniors just to get out of their driveways.
Yeah, we hear more and more about how they would like the end of their driveway plowed as the plow moves it in. You can buy equipment for a plow that would come down off the back of it and clear the driveway. Council has looked at the cost for that. I think they did it last term, and they were substantial. Because it does
$4 or $5 million.
Something like, I don't remember the number, but that sounds like it might be a feasible number because it's going to take longer to do. There's equipment that's required, and so it has been looked into. That would be an extremely expensive service level. So we're looking at operational costs continuously going up. If we increase service levels, they're going to go up even faster. Unless we find other places to put the brakes on or to stop providing certain services.
So for citizens who want to come to council and talk about the budget, what's the process now?
Well, we had our first night last night of deputants. All city could come in and talk with us. There was no appointments needed. At this point, your next opportunity to talk to council is at the post-budget consultation, which occurs after our talks on the budget. So once we set a final number, the same thing will happen. We'll have another consultation with the public. Everyone is welcome to come in and talk to us. You get 10 minutes, and there is no restrictions as to who can come and comment.
We will be continuing the conversation, Mark. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks a lot, James. My pleasure.
It's James with Net News Ledger. We're here at Lakehead University talking with Mark Bentz, who's the head of the budget chair and a councillor at large.